Okay, well, let me admit I'm a physicist and not an economist. Taxes, but now I'll talk about taxes. Taxes support services that we together in society want, such as education, defense, the legal system. The two quotes here point out two aspects that should be scrutinized and, in my opinion, changed. First is, of course, who pays taxes? And the second one is, do taxes help us to send price signals that reinforce our best interests? The second quote from the Norwegian especially sums this up. Do prices today reflect ecological realities? First, who should pay? In the U.S., billionaire Warren Buffett has called it unfair that he pays a lower percentage tax rate than does his secretary. He says you should pay more, and I agree. Two reasons. First, a major factor in Buffett's tax is the low federal tax rate on capital gains, which is also known as the money return on money. This is a form of unearned income, if earning means producing useful goods and services. It's about 15% per year. Earned income contributes more to societal well-being than unearned income resulting from market trading and speculation. By contrast, the top federal tax rate for earned income is about 35% a year. The low tax on unearned income is a benefit to the affluent who least need help like this. The upshot, we need higher tax rates for unearned income. Second point about who should pay. Today's taxation maintains and actually increases the spread of incomes. Today, the U.S. has the most uneven distribution of any industrialized country. The top 1% of earners take home 24% of the income. The convincing body of research indicates that highly unequal societies, cities, states, nations, have less social cohesion, poorer physical and mental health, higher crime rates, lower educational outcomes, and so on. Even if the average incomes are comparable, the bigger the income spread, the worse the outcomes. Often Scandinavian countries are touted as examples of low inequality and high outcome societies compared with most of the United States. I have lived in Norway myself for 2 years, and I can attest personally to how it feels to live without gated communities, with a murder rate that's 1/7 as high as ours, and surrounded by a strong community spirit. I should also admit that living here in paradisical Burlington, I experience similar things. On the other hand, Vermont is not typical of the United States, as I well know since I have not lived here all my life. Norway is no accident. It has a progressive, loophole-free income tax. Upshot, a higher marginal tax rate for the affluent can be a part of a better society for all. Now let's move on to the question of taxes to help convey true costs. Right now, our prices are set so that we can afford to do things that destroy the planet. On one hand, we don't want to do it, but the prices tell us, hey, why not? We know that burning gasoline is contributing to global warming. We know that our costly foreign policy is aimed at bringing oil-rich countries to heel. And we've seen studies that show when hidden costs, subsidies, and externalities, such as global warming, are included, gasoline should cost $9, $12 a gallon. $9 a gallon tells the ecological truth, and we all want to act accordingly. But hey, the current price is actually about $3.50. So, well, let's go for a spin. If the cost were $9 a gallon, we'd reduce our auto travel and shift our transportation choices. Detroit would go full out for a 100-mile-per-gallon car. Electric car development would accelerate. Burlington would again have convenient rail connections to Albany, New York, Boston, Montreal. A hefty $5 per gallon equivalent tax phased in over 5 years would be a powerful start. Western Europe has gas taxes of this magnitude right now. The province of British Columbia has a lesser one. Australia at this moment is passing a carbon tax, also a smaller one. But stop right there, you say. Vermont is a rural state, at least outside of Burlington. Everyone has to drive. A gas tax would be more impacting on lower incomes, and that contradicts what you just told me about taxing the affluent. A creative response to this apparent contradiction is to simultaneously reduce income taxes and rebate some gas tax revenues to especially hard-hit households. I've studied and published on this very issue. The general principle here is to tax bad things like carbon more and good things like income less. For example, an integral part of the Australian carbon tax will be rebating about 50% of the revenues to highly impacted households. Upshot, we need taxation to convey ecological costs and to stimulate creative responses, along with reduced taxes and rebates to soften the impact of the transition. That is a fair way to help prices tell the ecological truth.